Xie Chengyou, in mourning for his sworn enemy, the princess, feigned blindness for 3 years. I knelt and prayed devoutly before the Bodhisattva for hundreds of days. He turned a blind eye. I rode horses to death across the land, seeking famous doctors for him. He didn't care at all, even when I was pushed into the lake by an old acquaintance of the princess, and almost died. He wouldn't extend just to maintain his persona. But when a sharp arrow shot through the air straight towards the princess, he pushed me without hesitation, to be a human shield for the princess. At that moment, looking at the tremor and fear in his eyes, I thought, perhaps it is better to let him stay blind forever. I was shot through the chest by an arrow, injuring my heart and lungs. It took 5 full days of unconsciousness before I woke up from the tearing pain. The perpetrator, Xie Chengyou, sat by my bed, having guarded it for who knows how long. His cheeks were sunken, eyes bruised, and he himself looked gaunt and much thinner. The moment I opened my eyes, those eyes that had feigned blindness for 3 years, suddenly lit up. He grasped my hand, his voice trembling with alarm. "Shu Tang, you're awake! Do you know you were unconscious for 5 whole days?" I was so scared. So scared, you'd never wake up again. "Shu Tang, I'm sorry, I was in a hurry then. It wasn't intentional." "What is my husband saying? Don't you know your eyes aren't good, and you shouldn't stay up late?" Xie Chengyou's body stiffened, his face filled with horror. The physician behind him explained in a low voice, "Madam was shot in the chest, and then rolled down from high steps, injuring her head. It is not unheard of to lose some memory." Xie Chengyou tightened his grip on my hand. A thin cold wind blew, causing the oil lamp to flicker. On his bittersweet face, an inscrutable sense of relief emerged. So that is how it was. Then his eyes went blank, fully adopting the appearance of a blind person, as he groped and cupped my face. "Shu Tang, I've thought it over. These eyes, perhaps they'll never be cured in this lifetime. I don't want to waste any more precious time. I want you to move back to the main courtyard, and be a real husband and wife with me." Indeed, because of Xie Chengyou's eye condition, I'd been married to him for 3 years, yet we had never consummated our marriage. Xie Chengyou and I were betrothed from childhood, by our grandfathers. We were also childhood sweethearts who grew up together, playing chase, and always in each other's company. Later, my mother passed away due to complications during my sister's birth, with no one to rely on in the capital. I followed my general father to the frontier. 8 years later, when I returned to the capital, Xie Chengyou's enthusiasm hadn't waned. Even before I entered the capital, he had prepared piles of cosmetics, fabrics, jewelry for me. He said, "You've suffered in the frontier. I will compensate you 100-fold, 1,000-fold, for these 8 missed years." He kept his word. At any large or small banquet in the capital, wherever I appeared, his presence was guaranteed. As for my favorite pastry, I only mentioned it once, and he immediately invited the pastry chef to his manor. The dresses and jewelry I liked, even if they weren't available in the capital. He would still go to great lengths to get them to me. Even if I liked long spears, and was secretly mocked as vulgar by the young ladies in the capital, he would also relentlessly rebuke them. Every single word was in my defense. I was satisfied. Marquis Xie formed cliques for personal gain, was exiled by the emperor to Luochuan, and died of illness. Father, however, was satisfied with the decline of the Marquis's residence, living by relying on the general's residence's support and patronage. He believed that I, his daughter, whom he regarded as the apple of his eye, would not suffer grievances if I married their childhood sweethearts. A perfect match. It was originally a match made in heaven, but Xie Chengyou had a mortal enemy, Princess Yu Heng, with whom he was utterly incompatible. As early as when I was in the frontier, I had heard about their conflict. Noble consort, Gao, Zhao Yu Heng's birth mother, and consort Xi Shu, Xie Chengyou's aunt, had been at odds for a long time. The two had been openly and secretly fighting for many years. Trading blows, consort Xie Shu was poisoned by a bowl of soup, resulting in one body and 2 lives. And noble consort Gao was also sent to the cold palace for the crime of poisoning the imperial heir. 1 dead, 1 injured, it should have ended, but the hatred extended. Zhao Yuheng hated the Xie family to the core, and even more so Xie Chengyou. During the autumn hunt, she shot and wounded Xie Chengyou's arm with an arrow. When forced by the emperor to apologize, she also pretended to care for Xie Chengyou at the marquis's residence for a few days. The consequence, however, was that she poisoned his wound, causing it to fester and almost rendering his arm useless. During the palace banquet, she shoved an improperly dressed maid into Xie Chengyou's room, and then ostentatiously brought people to catch them in the act. But when she burst open the door, what awaited her was the maid strangled by Xie Chengyou, and a palm stabbed bloody and mangled by a hairpin. Xie Chengyou, with crimson eyes, almost choked Zhao Yuheng to death on the doorframe, before being fiercely pulled away by Mother Xie and her people. When people in the capital spoke of the two of them, there were only 8 characters: a tense standoff, a fight to the death. I tentatively asked Xie Chengyou about everything concerning Zhao Yuheng, and he immediately turned cold. His tone was full of an unfamiliar coldness and sharpness. Oh, just a lunatic who is bent on my death. Xu Tang, remember this. Walk around that lunatic if you see her. It doesn't matter if she hurts me. But if she hurts you, I'm afraid I'll do something truly terrible that can't be undone. He said it with such conviction. I didn't doubt him either, until Xie Chengyou took me out for a spring outing in the suburbs. Zhao Yuheng, her phoenix eyes slightly red and full of resentment, raised her sword to Xie Chengyou's throat. Are you doing this to spite me? Or do you really intend to marry her? Her black hair and red dress fluttered in the wind. She was as proud as a blazing sunset, as vibrant as a spring begonia, but the tenderness and smile in Xie Chengyou's eyes instantly vanished completely. His voice became cold and stern. The marriage between Xu Tang and I was decided since childhood. If I don't marry her, who will I marry? To say it is just to spite you would be an insult to Xu Tang. If the princess keeps pestering endlessly, then don't blame me for filing an imperial complaint before His Majesty. The longsword fell to the ground, hitting with a clang. Zhao Yuheng suppressed a sob and forced out a resolute smile. If you don't step forward and marry me, I'll be going off to marry into another country next month. Xie Chengyou, are you satisfied now? The April spring breeze carried a biting chill. It blew away the teardrops in Zhao Yuheng's eyes. She was proud and arrogant, but she ran less than 10 steps before stopping, her back trembling, as she waited for Xie Chengyou to chase her. At that time, I thought, if Xie Chengyou showed even a hint of hesitation, I wouldn't be able to stomach this half-cooked marriage, and would have to concede it. But he didn't spare a single glance for Zhao Yuheng. He took off his cloak and draped it over my shoulders. His eyes softened. He was as gentle as water. The wind has picked up. Let's go. On the carriage, he comforted me. Don't be afraid. With me here she can't hurt you. Besides, she'll be going off to marry into another country next month, so she won't bother you or me anymore. From beginning to end, he never revealed any anomaly that would make me doubt him, until I raced horses with him. Zhao Yuheng stood on the suspended pavilion, looking down, aiming an arrow directly at Xie Chengyou's brow. Her eyes welled with tears, and she roared with a mix of love and hate. I'll give you one last chance. Choose her or choose me. Xie Chengyou frowned deeply, impatiently tugged the reins, and immediately turned the horse's head. If you're not afraid of death, then make your move. He was certain Zhao Yuheng wouldn't dare shoot that arrow, so he smacked my steed's rump with a whip and galloped away side by side with me. But Zhao Yuheng went mad because of that dismissive remark. She couldn't bear to shoot Xie Chengyou, but shot an arrow into my horse's leg. The moment I was thrown off the horse, I thought I would surely die. But Xie Chengyou rushed over and pounced without hesitation, acting as a human cushion, protecting my body. The consequence was, my right arm was broken, making it difficult to even hold a pen. Xie Chengyou hit the back of his head on a stone, bleeding profusely, and remained unconscious for over a month. The imperial physician diagnosed that even if he woke up, there was no guarantee he would be a normal person again. On a torrential rainy night, I knelt for a long time in front of the Hall of Mental Cultivation, demanding an explanation from the emperor and for the princess to pay the deserved price. With father's 100 troops at hand, the emperor was wary of the Xie family. He intended to severely punish Zhao Yuheng, but the sudden death of the imperial concubine in the cold palace earned Zhao Yuheng the emperor's pity and forgiveness. 3 years of vegetarianism and prayers for blessings at Huguo Temple was the emperor's way of appeasing me. He was stern and sharp, and when he looked down at me, there was a faint killing intent in his eyes. I am the son of heaven, and the son of heaven's command is the law. You're being so pushy. Are you trying to make everyone in the world curse me for disregarding the law and being unfit to be an emperor? The path out of the palace had never felt so long and difficult. I was drenched, my heart full of bitterness, hating Zhao Yuheng to the core, for destroying the perfect happiness that was within my grasp. With the wedding date drawing near, Xie Chengyou still showed no signs of waking up. My friends advised me one by one, putting feelings aside. Do you want to spend your entire life with someone who could die at any moment? Even if he wakes up, if he is crippled or disabled, can you guarantee that your initial feelings won't change your whole life, and you'll always treat him consistently? At worst, you'll just get a dirty reputation for being faithless. But going back to the frontier and marrying an honest man is still a lifetime. I took all their words to heart. But if I set feelings aside, what else is there to talk about? Xie Chengyou is the only male heir for 3 generations, and the Xie family is tottering. I am the only daughter of a general's family. If it weren't for our grandfather's sworn brotherhood, or the childhood sweetheart bond between Xie Chengyou and me, I'd be out of my mind to marry him. Mother Xie understood my hesitation. She proactively came to our door to call off the engagement. Her temples were slightly grey, and every word was choked with tears. Chengyou has adored you since he was young. How could he bear for you to suffer even a little bit? Auntie also watched you grow up, and I can't bear for you to bear the reputation of being faithless and ungrateful. Shutang! Let's call off this marriage. Auntie and Chengyou both hope you marry a good man and be happy and fulfilled for your entire life. The Xie family's kindness and righteousness made my selfishness and coldness impossible to hide. Guilt, like a tide, surged in layer by layer in the dead of night, leaving me restless, sleepless, and on the verge of collapse. In the tavern, people were whispering. If it weren't for young master Xie risking his life to save her, the one unconscious would have been the Wen family's daughter. The Xie family showed great righteousness, never harbored a trace of resentment, and even proactively called off the engagement, whereas the Wen family lost the straightforwardness and loyalty befitting a general's household. Rumors were as fierce as tigers, but they didn't knock me down. It was the Xie family's collateral branches, who, upon hearing that Xie Chengyou's body was damaged, came knocking one by one, aggressively pressuring them. They demanded titles, they demanded family property, until finally, Madame Xie was so angered that she fainted and died. I rushed there upon hearing the news, and used the general's mansion's token to drive them all out, looking at the Xie family, barely able to sustain themselves. Looking at Xie Chengyou, unconscious due to saving me, I finally made up my mind to bear all of this for him. I was prepared to be a living widow. I was also prepared to care for Xie Chengyou for his entire life, even if he became crazy, foolish, crippled, or disabled. With an 8-bearer sedan chair and 10 li of red wedding decorations, I married a husband whose fate between life and death was unknown. At that time, filled with isolated courage, I never imagined there would be a day when my heart would be pierced and my lungs carved out. Maybe heaven was looking out for me. Not long after I married into the Xie family, Xie Chengyou woke up. When he heard I had married him as his new wife, when he heard I confronted the emperor to seek justice, his brows trembled slightly. It wasn't until he heard that after the imperial concubine entered the imperial mausoleum, Zhao Yuhang was to be sent to a royal temple to eat vegetarian meals and chant Buddhist scriptures for 3 years, that his pupils instantly widened greatly. I thought he, like me, was dissatisfied with the emperor's light punishment, so I comforted him, saying, "You're awake. Everything else doesn't matter anymore." Besides, the Empress Dowager sent her strictest nanny to follow and teach her manners, so I'm sure in the future, she wouldn't dare to act so recklessly again. The night was terrifyingly quiet. Xie Chengyou remained silent the whole time until the oil lamp sputtered, letting out a crisp crack. Only then did Xie Chengyou, as if startled awake from a dream, stare at the golden canopy above his head and speak in a muffled voice. "The imperial concubine is gone, and she has nothing left. This punishment is already— Shutang, can't you? For my sake, since I'm well now, forgive her." My heart full of joy felt as if a basin of cold water had been poured over my head. Drops of coldness, inch by inch, seeped into my limbs and bones. Even my voice trembled. Forgive her. So my broken right arm bone, and kneeling for so long at the palace gates, all become a joke. Xie Chengyou looked flustered and eagerly explained, "That is not what I meant. I just remembered how you cried, until you fainted when your mother passed away, and my heart ached. What you do no longer matters." I let out a breath and gently interrupted him. With the combined testimony of countless noble ladies and young misses on the horse-riding grounds, the emperor cannot possibly deceive others or go back on his word. Xie Chengyou was silenced. After a long while, he finally said, "Let me go see her." Fearing I would refuse, he quickly explained, "I'm going to remind her that she must cultivate her character well from now on. If she remains unrepentant and dares to lay a hand on my wife again, I will certainly not let her off lightly. It is fine if he goes to see her." If he knew that Zhao Yuheng still cursed at me relentlessly while kneeling before the imperial consort's memorial hall, he probably wouldn't have even the last bit of pity left. But unexpectedly, Xie Chengyou fainted and died in the imperial consort's memorial hall. When he woke up again, he was completely blind. The imperial physician said that Xie Chengyou's extreme emotions caused a brain hemorrhage to spread, leading to sudden blindness. Ultimately, it was a hidden danger left by an unhealed old injury. Xie Chengyou didn't say a word about anything that happened in the memorial hall, only reassuring me it was bound to happen sooner or later. Even if I hadn't entered the palace, it would have flared up at some other time. Don't blame yourself. I chose to save you. As long as you are well, it is fine if I'm blind. My hopes for the future were suddenly shattered to pieces. But then I thought, I had already prepared myself to be with him for a lifetime. Compared to being foolish and unable to care for himself, blindness was still acceptable. It is just that the imperial physician subtly reminded me that the medication was tricky, and if we didn't want the stagnant blood to spread and cause greater misfortune, then we must remain calm and tranquil. Especially regarding marital relations, one must be extremely cautious. I had never tasted the pleasures of intimacy, so I naturally took a light view of marital matters. However, Xie Chengyou immediately pulled a long face. Having a gorgeous wife by my pillow, yet unable to touch her, isn't that worse than killing me? If I die, then I die. I cannot neglect my wife. My cheeks were burning, both shy and embarrassed. My mother-in-law lightly coughed and quietly scolded, "Nonsense. Do you want me, with my white hair, to bury my black-haired son?" The imperial physician said that with medication, it will slowly dissipate in 3 to 5 years. Are you really afraid your beautiful, gorgeous wife will be stolen away? Then she turned to me and asked, "Shutang, are you willing to move to the Buddhist hall with mother to pray for Chengyou?" As if afraid I might misunderstand, she hastily said, "I'm not coercing you with the kindness of saving his life, nor am I oppressing you with my status as your mother-in-law. I am asking for your opinion. I always respond to gentleness, not toughness, so I naturally agreed for Xie Chengyou's health. For the next 3 years, Xie Chengyou's eyes showed no improvement. For hundreds of days, I knelt and prayed sincerely before the Bodhisattva, wishing for him to regain his sight soon. I searched far and wide for famous doctors for him, only wishing he could forever be free of future troubles and live a worry-free life. Not only that, Xie Chengyou was blind, completely engrossed in listening to the rain on banana leaves under the corridor, naturally not caring about anything else. The Xie family's prestige had declined, and I poured my heart and soul into managing everything, inside and out. I used my dowry to cover the costs and relied on the general's residence as leverage, only then managing to turn the tide and revive the family's glory. Just as everything was getting on track, and Xie Chengyou's eye condition was expected to be cured soon, my perfect life seemed to be waving at me from afar. But Zhao Yuheng returned to the capital. I thought she would have learned her lesson by now, but at the Empress Dowager's birthday banquet, she suddenly appeared behind me. With a wild, arrogant sneer, she unexpectedly pushed me into the icy lake water. My right arm was powerless, unable to resist her sudden push, and I bobbed up and down in the icy lake water, unable to steady my precarious body. Chengyou rushed over in a panic, but just as he was about to jump into the water, Zhao Yuheng's words stopped him dead in his tracks. Marquis Xie is blind. How can he save anyone? Are you trying to prove something in front of her? He withdrew the hand he was about to extend to me and shouted for help in a panic. I saw his urgency. It was just that the night was too dark, and I ultimately couldn't see the naked bewilderment and complexity in his clear eyes. I nearly died, then caught a bad cold and languished in bed for many days afterward. And Zhao Yuheng had long ago intentionally moved all the palace staff away, so there were no witnesses. Although Xie Chengyou was present, what could he possibly have seen? Being blind facing the emperor's question, he spoke bluntly. My wife has always been very careful. She would never easily fall into the water. I implore your majesty to investigate thoroughly and punish severely. He kowtowed until his head was bleeding, putting on a full show of protecting and backing me. This made me firmly believe that he was truly blind. Until the autumn banquet 7 days ago, Zhao Yuheng, contrary to her usual arrogant and bossy demeanor, actually lowered herself to apologize for her past actions. Every word she spoke was sincere. Her eyes were teary, full of regret and guilt. Yet, from beginning to end, her gaze was solely fixed on Xie Chengyou. I will be going to my fiefdom in a few days. It is a long journey. Xie Ho, please take care. She turned away resolutely. Xie Chengyou's emotional lapse was too obvious. Before he could say anything, the archers hidden in the locust and poplar trees suddenly launched an attack on Zhao Yuheng. Almost instantly, Xie Chengyou pushed me, who was closest to Zhao Yuheng, out of the way. Just like he had thrown himself at me regardless of his own safety back then, he recklessly pushed me towards the gates of hell again. An arrow pierced my flesh, and I collapsed to the ground with a thud. What I saw was the triumphant and provocative curve of Zhao Yuheng's lips as she threw herself into Xie Chengyou's arms, and the unconcealable fear and trembling in Xie Chengyou's pupils when he stared at my blood-stained dress. So it turns out he could see. So it turns out he was faking it all. Me, entrapped by the life-saving grace, he turned a blind eye to my devout kneeling and praying before Bodhisattva for hundreds and thousands of days. He didn't care at all when I rode horses to death across the land to find famous doctors for him. He also pretended not to know when I made extreme sacrifices, using the influence of the general's residence to help him gain a noble title and restore his family's prestige. Even when the princess's old friend pushed me into the lake, he refused to extend a hand to save me, just to maintain his blind persona. Afterward, to protect Zhao Yuheng, he even pretended to defend me, but ambiguously gave false testimony to help her avoid punishment. Only when Zhao Yuheng was in danger, he was so flustered that he forgot the soft armor, the the princess always wore, forgot his blind persona, and even forgot the kindness of me, his childhood sweetheart and wedded wife. Recklessly, he pushed me to die in her place. My mother passed away early, so I didn't have a mother to teach me the intricate twists and turns of the inner chambers. Men from the frontier are straightforward and direct. They keep their word, and don't use insincere, soft tactics. So I knew nothing about Xie Chengyou's insincerity, or Mother Xi's strategy of feigning retreat to advance. But after 3 years in the Xie family, managing the household, how could I still be so foolish, after suffering so many hidden wounds, from all the backstabbing and deceit? In this dynasty, imperial sons-in-law cannot enter officialdom, even a marquis's heir can only marry into a princess's residence and become her subordinate. But I am different, as the only daughter of a powerful military family, who commands a large army. Whoever marries me marries the immense power of the general's estate. Love and righteousness are all just for show. I'm afraid Xie Chengyou's 3 years of feigning blindness and tormenting me were all to appease the maddening Zhao Yuhang. After countless twists and turns, I belatedly realizing, only hate myself for being too foolish, becoming a mere plaything in their love-hate relationship. Heartless and shameless, despicable and vile, I thought. Why not just let him stay blind? Tang! Xie Chengyou's call pulled me out of my memories. I suppressed the surging hatred and softly replied, "This matter, we should discuss it after the divine doctor I invited has examined your eyes." A look of disappointment flashed across his face, yet he nodded firmly at me. "It is all right, just a few days. I can wait." But I cannot wait. That very night, I deployed troops from the general's estate to make Xie Chengyou get what he deserved on the polo field, a few days later, and remain blind for life. I abandoned my usual thoughtfulness and meticulousness, claiming ill health as an excuse, and handed over the account books and household keys. Either I would return to the general's estate for a short stay, or go out with friends to enjoy spring scenery, admire flowers, and have small gatherings, days not revolving around the Xie family, not sacrificing everything for Xie Chengyou, were originally so pleasant and relaxed. But my ease was built upon Mother Xie's suffering. When money flowed out from my hands like water, she didn't feel the pinch. Now, her exquisite jewelry, piles of shoe brocade, and lavish tips for gaining face, all have to be genuinely paid for with silver from the manor. Back then, Marquis Xi formed factions for personal gain, and his just relying on Xie Chengyou's meager monthly allowance. They couldn't even feed a courtyard full of servants. They'd all starve. When the stewards of the various shops came with ledgers to settle quarterly silver, Mother Xie either claimed illness to send them away, or hid in the suburbs, refusing to see anyone. After hiding for too long, rumors started to spread. Xie Chengyou, unable to bear the humiliation, cautiously probed me, racked his brains to please me, and spared no effort to coax me. When I was staying at the general's manor, he came personally to pick me up, braving the heavy rain. When I had a small gathering with friends, he would sit silent. Even when I casually mentioned that begonia flowers were elegant and eye-catching, he immediately sent people to plant a whole courtyard of them. Piece by piece, he made it seem like he doted on me and loved me. Only I knew, for the money the Xie family couldn't produce, he was counting on me to open my private vault. For the trouble caused by the Xie family's relatives in the academy, he needed me to step in. Even his own invaluable health-preserving medicine, Xie Chengyou's, was bought by me from the western regions. He loves me. It is nothing more than the tiny bit of indebtedness and guilt deep within his heart. I understand. Zhao Yuhang, who was adorable to the point of madness, didn't understand. She locked me in the tea room on the 2nd floor, a gleaming knife held firmly against my throat. "He knows I hate you immensely, that I've wanted you dead time and again, but he always chooses to stand up and protect me. Guess this time, if I kill you with one stab, and then stab myself, will he intercede for me?" Hatred surged, and I let out an "oh" of sudden realization. So that is how the backyards and imperial harems in the capital are played. I've learned a lot. Then I snatched Zhao Yuheng's dagger with a backhand, and in her shock, held it against her throat, turning the tables. I also want to see who Xie Chengyou, who still feels guilty towards me, will protect. Zhao Yuheng didn't believe I dared to touch her, and cursed through gritted teeth. If you dare to touch me, Father Emperor won't let you off. The general's estate is already an eyesore to Father Emperor. Are you trying to hand him a blade for decapitation? I scoffed, feigning surprise. Oh. So that is how it is. Thank you for reminding me. My eyes narrowed, and my left hand had already gripped Zhao Yuheng's neck, almost instantly. I used all my strength, lifted her up, and slammed her hard onto the tea table. Teacups crashed, shattering all over the floor. But thinking of Zhao Yuheng's wickedness, I no longer hesitated. Grabbing her collar, I repeatedly slammed her back hard against the cold wall. She was in so much pain her face turned pale, but not a single mark appeared on her face. A huge sound rang out, and the people downstairs rushed up, looking at Zhao Yuheng, who was curled up in a ball. I could only sneer. You've been spoiled rotten by the royal family. Today, I'll teach you a lesson, and while I'm at it, I'll pay you back a bit for your schemes from back then. As I finished speaking, amidst her shock, I raised my hand and tore off all the hairpins and ornaments from my head. My thumb gently wiped over the lipstick, and it looked as if bright red blood was overflowing from the corner of my mouth. A creak. The door was pushed open from the inside out. Meeting everyone's eyes was me, disheveled, deathly pale, and terrified beyond measure. Help! The princess is trying to kill me. Then my body went limp, and I fell into Xie Chengyou's arms, who had been helped up, hiding the triumphant sneer at the corner of my mouth. Everyone was startled. Behind me, Zhao Yuheng, who had recovered, was already chasing after me with a dagger in hand. Fei, how dare you scheme against me? I'll make you die! Slap. Xie Chengyou's slap froze her in place. Zhao Yuheng's eyes reddened, again and again. Xie Chengyou, you never bore to harm me even an inch. Yet you hit me for her. She is so vicious, she almost killed me. Don't you know that? Xie Chengyou didn't dare to meet her gaze, only glanced down at my disheveled hair, then grunted in response. She never touched a hair on you, yet every time you try to take her life. She is my wife, and as her husband, I should protect her. I've said it. I can overlook what happened in the past, but don't lay a hand on her again. Xie Chengyou's cloak was wrapped around me, and he held me protectively in his arms as he got up and left. Don't be afraid, I'm here. At this moment, his guilt was also real. Men are complex. Even amidst the schemes of chasing fame and fortune, there was still a degree of genuine feeling. I sacrificed everything for the Xie family. I was utterly devoted to him. Xie Chengyou. I was repeatedly schemed against by Zhao Yuheng. He knew it all. I'm afraid there is no one else in this world as foolishly loving, protecting, and helping him as I am. So, he began to waver. It sickened me. Yet I still smirked provocatively, raising an eyebrow at Zhao Yuheng from afar in triumph. Stopped by someone, she went mad with rage, slamming the dagger in her hand in frustration and screaming hoarsely, I'm going to kill her. This chance, I gave it to her. Xie Chengyou was unwilling to go to the great Yue's polo match. I just mentioned that I wanted to go, and he sighed, agreeing. By the time we returned to the manor, the divine physician you invited should have arrived. Don't play too hard, for tonight, we might consummate our marriage. A faint smile played on his lips, as if full of longing, as he drew a blueprint of the future for me. The marquisate is too lonely. How about we have several children? Daughter will be as gentle and beautiful as you. The boy will follow his maternal grandfather to practice martial arts, and in the future will fight on the battlefield, like his maternal grandfather, defending home and country. Xu Tang, from now on, let's be good, always good. I stirred my teacup, a smile playing on my lips, but my eyes were as cold as a deep pool. How could it pass? My right arm can never lift my most beloved long spear. My body, afflicted by cold, can never touch anything raw or cold for the rest of my life. Even the arrow wound on my chest left a huge, since the pain isn't on your bodies, of course it just light as a feather passes. How could belated affection and remorse compare to the thrill of a fatal revenge? My 3 years of humiliation, repaid with his eyes, where he got what he wished for, is not a loss. The news about going to the polo field I had spread to Zhao Yutang early through the mouths of several noble ladies. Having been confined for a long time, she finally requested the emperor to lift her confinement, using her approaching birthday as an excuse. On the polo field, as her eyes met mine, she brandished her mallet, poised to strike. Xie Chengyou's pupils constricted, and amidst Zhao Yuheng's undisguised killing intent, he held me down. "Don't go, just sit by my side and keep me company." "All right." Afraid I wouldn't agree, he leaned close to my ear and whispered softly, "If we're to consummate our marriage tonight, it is bound to be tiring. So don't play polo, it is too much work." He spoke softly, actually pressing close to my ear. Noticing Zhao Yuheng's gaze, I deliberately snuggled deeper into Xie Chengyou's embrace. From afar, it looked exactly like the affectionate intimacy between loving couples. Heads pressed close. Zhao Yuheng was indeed furious. Just then, a ball someone threw rolled under her horse's hooves. Her gaze turned cold, meeting my blatant provocation. In for a penny, in for a pound. She swung the mallet onto the ball, and it came straight for my head. Perfect. She fell for it, but the moment I shrieked in letting that fierce ball hit Xie Chengyou squarely on the forehead, his expression froze, his pupils completely vacant, and he fell straight to the ground. Blood spilled all over his face, and he made no further movement. Looking down at the unconscious Xie Chengyou, I sneered in my heart, "I'll make sure you get your wish, and stay blind for the rest of your life." When Xie Chengyou, with a bleeding head, was sent back to the Marquis's residence, the divine doctor I had invited just arrived. Exchanging a glance with me, he subtly nodded, then rushed into the inner room to examine Xie Chengyou's wound. 2 needles later, Xie Chengyou immediately foamed at the mouth and convulsed all over. Mother Xie was horrified, trembling all over. How could Chengyou be like this? The divine doctor frowned and reprimanded. "Stop yelling. The hematoma is spreading and endangering his life. If you delay my treatment, then there is nothing I can do." Mother Xie's body went limp, and she almost fainted. I coaxed her and sent her back to the courtyard. Turning my head, I coldly instructed the military doctor, my father kept. "I want him completely blind, never to see the light of day for all eternity. Make it quick." The military doctor understood. After a few needles, he stuffed a goo worm into Xie Chengyou's mouth. Not long after, he had just poured a bowl of soup down, and, sweating profusely, reported back to me, "It is done." No sooner had he spoken than the imperial physicians sent from the palace arrived. Princess Yuhang had caused too much of a stir. She almost killed me in the tea-house, and no sooner had she been released from house arrest than she hit Xie Chengyou with a ball, leaving him critically ill. The emperor was indeed biased towards the only child left by his favorite concubine, indulging her repeatedly. Even with things having come to this, he dispatched the head of the Imperial Medical Academy himself to come and examine him, hoping to excuse Zhao Yuhang. What a pity! The incident happened so suddenly that everyone was only concerned with sending Xie Chengyou back to the manor and condemning Zhao Yuheng's barbarity. No one bothered to look closely. The ball that appeared out of nowhere was actually filled with sand. Zhao Yuheng, with murderous intent, used all her strength to hit Xie Chengyou on the forehead with the ball. The news that Xie Chengyou's hematoma had spread, and he would never recover his sight, was confirmed by the head of the Imperial Medical Academy. The divine doctor even said with a face full of regret, "If not for this ball hitting him squarely on the head, a few more needles would have cleared about 80% of Lord Marquis's remaining limited amount of clotted blood." Not only would he recover completely, but there would also be no further impact on his future. What a pity. This sudden ball brought out new clotted blood, and I am helpless. His voice was extremely loud. Mother Xie and Xie Chengyou, who had just woken up, heard everything completely. One, clutching a handkerchief, gritted her teeth and said, "The princess is so vicious, publicly disregarding human life. Will His Majesty just watch her commit evil?" One, clutching the brocade quilt, his hands turned white, and he asked me tremblingly and fearfully, "Yutang, will you abandon me because I'm completely blind?" Mother Xie quickly responded, "Fool, she is the madam brought into my marquis's manor, with an 8-bearer sedan chair, without your signature and seal. She can never leave you." Xie Chengyou sighed in relief, his voice becoming softer and softer. "Even if I die, I would absolutely not divorce Yutang." The hand with which I was taking out the divorce papers completely relaxed its grip. Turns out, a grudge that could be settled with just a pair of eyes cannot be easily resolved after all. At night, I stood under the corridor, separated by the carved doors and windows, listening to Xie Chengyou say to Mother Xie, "If I'm blind, then so be it. After all, with Yutang here, whether it is the Xie family, or you or I, none of us will suffer any grievances. She pours her heart and soul into me. If I coax her well, this life will surely be worry-free." For a carefree life, he originally intended to wear me out to death and ruin my entire life. Unfortunately, those who schemed against me never end well. The next day, he came to hug me, but I avoided him. His expression stiffened. "You went blind because of me. Don't you like me anymore?" I shook my head. "How could that be? You were blind before anyway. Could it be that you could see before?" At that one sentence, the color drained from his face, yet he stiffly replied, "Yes, that is right. I was blind before. How could I forget? The dream has come true. No need to thank me. It is the deserved repayment for your great kindness to me. Oh, this knife. You'll know the pain once it is stuck in your own body. The pain Zhao Yuheng inflicted on me again and again before. Mother Xie advised me, there is a distinction between ruler and subject. And after all, we must consider the royal family's dignity. The Xie family is in decline. We can't cause any more trouble." But when her son completely went blind, she also knew how to cry to heaven and earth, begging for justice. Even when Zhao Yuheng came to her door with apologies, seeking understanding, he sternly and angrily chased her out. Zhao Yuheng stood in the pouring rain, just like I did back then. She begged Xie Chengyou to see her. She begged Mother Xie for forgiveness. In the end, she fainted in the pouring rain. I told Xie Chengyou, word by word, His Majesty is furious and wants to marry off the ignorant princess to Yingchuan. The king of Yingchuan is of similar age to His Majesty. How could she agree? Half a sentence is enough. The wavering man who loves both sides. Then let him suffer powerlessly. I blew on the bitter medicine in my hand, and amidst Xie Chengyou's hidden hatred, spoon by spoon, fed it into his mouth. Every spoon was adding bricks and tiles to their path to the yellow springs. Xie Chengyou knew nothing, and even after completely falling into darkness, he tremblingly regarded me as his only pillar of support. Fearing I would abandon him, he pleaded with me again and again, "I won't drink the medicine anymore. I want to be a real husband and wife with you." Every time, I pretended to worry about his health, and fortunately, it won't be long now. Xie Chengyou, fearing that his past pretense of blindness would be exposed, had someone make a wheelchair, and was routinely pushed around by people. Upon hearing that Zhao Yuheng had nowhere to turn for help, she eventually hated me to death after 2 cold slaps from the emperor. When I was shopping, she actually tried to abduct me in broad daylight and throw me into a beggar's den to vent her anger. Too bad, the last reliance the imperial consort gave her was pierced through by my secret guard's sword. Her head was stuffed into her carriage, and Zhao Yuheng was so frightened, she fell gravely ill, actually trying to avoid my sharp edge and obediently busying herself with next month's wedding. But doing all sorts of bad things, and then just walking away. How could that be enough? Besides, lovers should eventually become family, so naturally, I must help them achieve their wish. I knew Zhao Yuheng had left the mansion today. I then pushed Xie Chengyou, and he met her by chance across a stretch of lake water. Leaning into Xie Chengyou's ear, I coaxed him. Don't fidget, this is the lakeside. If you fall in, no one will be able to save you. Today, you and I are out for a stroll. We didn't bring any servants. I'll go to the carriage to get a cloak. Xie Chengyou's face was full of profound gratitude. Naturally, he didn't know that beneath his feet were dozens of jade steps. Bullying a blind person is a very easy thing to do. The maid nodded at me and walked away step by step. Then the guards, amidst my cold sneer, approached step by step. Xie Chengyou, hearing the different footsteps, slightly furrowed his brows. Who? What answered him? Was my hand falling on the armrest of the wheelchair? From afar, I mouthed, "Go to hell at Zhao Yuheng." As Zhao Yuheng's pupils trembled, I revealed a wicked smile. A gentle push, the wheelchair rumbled and slid down the stone steps. Xie Chengyou was greatly alarmed and screamed for help. But the wheelchair tilted, and both he and the wheelchair tumbled down. The wheelchair was heavily built, sturdy and durable, but its drawback was its bulkiness. It repeatedly smashed onto Xie Chengyou, making him shriek continuously. The fated lovers, separated by a stretch of lake water, one was shocked and frightened, rushing over without hesitation. The other was battered and bruised, covered in injuries, and utterly disheveled in the dirty bloodstains. Beauty saves the hero. I gave her this chance. This time, I really walked away. But just as Zhao Yuheng was trembling and weeping, holding Xie Chengyou, accusing me word for word, they hastily rushed over again. Princess, even if it is to seek forgiveness, you shouldn't use such methods on the Marquis. You've already caused him to be permanently blind. Why do you still torment him like this? When had Zhao Yuheng ever endured such anger? She pounced over, about to hit me, but the moment she touched me, my body swayed, leaning precariously against the riverbank's guardrail. The young ladies from the capital, who had just arrived at the agreed time, yelled as they pushed Zhao Yuheng away, fiercely shielding me behind them. One by one, they spoke with righteous indignation. Your Highness, are you trying to murder someone to silence them in front of everyone? What exactly has Xu Tang done to offend you that you repeatedly target her like this? Is this the royal family's attitude towards the kin of meritorious officials? Does the princess not fear disheartening the hearts of all soldiers in the land? No matter how much you hate Marquis Xie, you shouldn't cling to him so relentlessly. He almost had his arm crippled, yet he didn't pursue it. His reputation was almost ruined, yet he didn't dwell on it. Even after you caused his blindness, he never. Why do you repay kindness with enmity, not even sparing the person he loves most? When I used the methods she taught me against her, why did she break down? Zhao Yuheng was anxious and resentful, utterly hysterical. But as soon as the long whip from her waist was drawn out, I screamed and trembled into a ball, putting on a show of extreme terror. A group of noblewomen glared angrily. If you have the guts, kill us all too, and let His Majesty see your Highness's great skill. Zhao Yuheng had provoked public outrage, so even if she was more muddled, she wouldn't dare actually make a move. What kind of skill is it to pretend to be miserable and pitiful in front of Xie Chengyou alone? I'm pretending to be miserable and pitiful, asking for help in front of everyone in the world. Zhao Yuheng was trembling with anger when I provocatively raised my eyebrows at her. Seeing that enough time had passed, I then, as if just discovering Xie Chengyou's terrible state, shouted loudly, Marquis! Marquis covered in blood and twitching. How pathetic. The noble young master who was once dressed in splendid clothes and gentle as jade, is now not only blind, also after falling, treatment was delayed. He publicly foamed at the mouth and covered himself in filth. My heart ached terribly. I almost cried myself unconscious, limp in someone else's. I could only watch helplessly as Xie Chengyou was dragged like a dead dog by the people I had deliberately arranged, without any dignity, onto the carriage, and sent back to the Xie family. No cloak to cover his body, no umbrella to hide his pathetic state. He just lost all face like that, and had no dignity left. Zhao Yuhang, hidden from others' view, saw all of Xie Chengyou's wretched state, as if she had been scared silly. She stood stunned for a long time, and couldn't say a single word. Xie Chengyou suffered another harsh torment. The pain I suffered when I broke my arm, he now tasted the same on his broken leg bone. While setting the bone, he was in so much pain he bit through his lips, yet he asked me, drenched in sweat, "Back then, were you also in this much pain?" Yes, back then. I was also in this much. Just after the bone was set, I immediately knelt in the pouring rain to seek justice for Xie Chengyou. The wound pain, the helplessness of being oppressed by imperial power, the heartbreaking agony of losing a loved one, these were even more painful. After Xie Chengyou heard this, only dead silence remained. Yet, as I finished feeding him the medicine and turned to leave, he hastily cried out, "I trust you." My footsteps paused, and I asked him blankly, "What did you say?" He lowered his empty, vacant eyes and said softly, "I trust you. You couldn't bear to hurt me. You have always been devoted to me, holding nothing back. You've experienced such pain yourself. How could you bear to inflict it upon me?" His words were full of deep affection, yet behind my back, he testified for Zhao Yuhang in front of His Majesty, saying that the footsteps absolutely did not belong to the princess. He wants both. He is so greedy. I spoke words of gratitude, but a cold, thin smile played on my lips. "Just trust me, then I can make you both wish you were dead." A few days later, it was Madame Xi's birthday. I hosted a grand event, using the excuse of riding on the festive cheer to ward off bad luck. Seeing all the money came from my private vault, Mother Xia beamed with joy. "Sure, Tang, marrying you is truly the good fortune of my Xia family." But such good fortune would soon be gone. Zhao Yuhang showed up uninvited, and naturally, I had no reason to drive a guest away. Xie Chengyou frowned deeply, his thin lips trembling. He thought and thought again, still not wanting to spoil everyone's mood, and allowed Zhao Yuhang to enter. Her expression was complicated, as she stared intently at Xie Chengyou. I had already heard that Zhao Yuhang, after witnessing Xie Chengyou's disgraceful state of frothing at the mouth, and being covered in urine stains, had given up her past resentment, and was ready to marry far away with peace of mind. Her visit this time was to expose my false facade in front of Xie Chengyou. I gave her this opportunity. Xie Chengyou's body had not yet fully recovered, and his legs and feet went numb after sitting for a short while. I ordered someone to send him back to his courtyard, and I continued chatting with the ladies and madams, exchanging poems, and clinking glasses. When Zhao Yuheng excused herself to change clothes after spilling a cup, I did not stop her. It was the more wet nurse Fei nanny beside Mother Xia, who led her out of the courtyard. Zhao Yuheng had stayed in the Xia family for a long time when caring for Xie Chengyou's arm, so she was naturally familiar with the place. She shook off the murmur and went directly to Xie Chengyou's courtyard. The music and dance filled the air, and applause resounded throughout the hall. This was the Marquise's estate's last moment of joy. After one song, the murmur screamed, "The princess left this old servant, saying she'd be right back, but hasn't been seen for a while. I'm afraid she went to the Marquise's courtyard, and the Marquise is going to suffer." Before everyone could even react, I got up in a panic and rushed straight to the main courtyard, fully putting on the act of worrying about my husband's safety. In the crowd, someone said, "Xu Tang has never been her match, and only ever gets the short end of the stick. Let's go together and see so she won't dare to commit violence under everyone's watchful eyes." The one who spoke was an aunt from a side branch of my general's estate. When you have money and power, buying off two useful people isn't hard. My smile deepened, but my steps didn't stop, leading everyone, separated by just one door, all the lights were out. Only heard Xie Chengyou's suppressed groan. I pretended not to suspect anything, shouting, "Husband," with my mouth. My hand didn't hesitate at all, and pushed open the door, naked Fei, tangled together. It was my husband and Princess Yuhang, the emperor's favorite. I stumbled back a few steps, falling into my aunt's arms, my heart full of sorrow. So that is how it is. If I had known you two had such deep feelings and endless entanglement, why did you drag me into this, making me suffer physically and become a laughingstock? Xie Chengyou pulled his clothes over to cover himself, saying in utter helplessness, "Shutang, it is not what you think." I rushed forward and slapped him with all my might several times, making Xie Chengyou's mouth bleed and causing him to spit out a white tooth. "Do you think everyone is as blind as you?" I poured my heart and soul into the Marquise's estate, and spared no effort for you. Even if you were crippled, disabled, blind, or rotten, I never once thought of abandoning you. But what about you? You were intimate with the culprit, who caused one of us to be blind and one disabled. Zhao Yuhang's lust faded, and her mind cleared. She was both ashamed and furious, feeling lost and helpless. "I was just here to return the items the Marquis previously gave me. I don't know why this happened." She, of course, didn't know. The incense burner that had just finished burning had been lit with an aphrodisiac incense, colorless and odorless, leaving no trace after burning. It was a rare good thing in the hands of the army doctor, trapping them like turtles in a jar. To lock them together for life was my plan. Afraid we wouldn't believe her, she wrapped herself in her clothes and spread the items before everyone. Among them, a letter was snatched by my aunt and opened on the spot. She read it out word for word on the spot, but it was like a thunderclap, exploding over everyone's heads. "Yuhang, the Buddhist temple is cold and harsh. Are you well? I have not consummated my marriage with Shutang, so rest assured. Yesterday was dangerous. Shutang's maid almost discovered my feigned blindness. Yuhang, I've done what I promised you, so don't cause trouble once you return to the capital. Shutang has been devoted to the Marquise's mansion and done her best for me. The Marquise's mansion needs her, and I can't be without her now. I don't want to lie to her anymore. Yuhang, when you return to the capital, I will arrange an accident for myself to regain my sight." The lie was exposed, and Xie Chengyou's face turned ashen. He threw himself off the bed, crawled on his knees to my front, clutching my skirt hem and desperately pleading, "Shutang, listen to me, it is not like that. I've already chosen you. I just want to live a good life with you. Let's get a divorce." Xie Chengyou trembled all over and shouted loudly, "I disagree!" But now that things have escalated to this point, it is no longer an internal matter of the Marquise's mansion. Whether Xie Chengyou agrees or not is irrelevant. Under the watchful eyes of all, the princess's illicit affair with another woman's husband could no longer be hidden. Their act of working in concert had made fools of the general's mansion. And me, deceiving me terribly. The emperor already feared the general's mansion, and if I pressed further, it would only deepen his apprehension. Therefore, Zhao Yuhang provoked me repeatedly, and I retreated again and again. Even with the emperor turning a blind eye to her indulgence, I pretended to be a pushover, and didn't pursue it further. I put on a facade of weakness and avoidance. Until now, I have conceded again and again, with no room left to give, and the princess has climbed into my husband's bed. I don't seek punishment. I don't demand justice. I only ask for a divorce. The emperor granted it without hesitation. Thus, even when father returns to court from his campaign, he can well say that he granted my request, and did not wrong me. Not enough. Zhao Yuheng seduced a married man, and ruined her engagement with Yingchuan, making the scandal known to all, and shaming the royal family. The censors were aggressive, the Empress Dowager was furious, and the noble ladies were filled with righteous indignation. No matter how much the emperor loved his white moonlight, He had to make concessions. He revoked Zhao Yuheng's princess mansion and quietly married her into the marquise's residence. On one hand, it was to save face for the royal family. In front of people, it was also presented as lovers, after many twists and turns, finally becoming a couple. On the other hand, it also served as an explanation to me. See, as long as you divorce, I've also punished Yuheng for you, and I'm just short of stripping her of her princess title. Although everyone sympathized with me, one cold look from the emperor silenced all the gossip. He gave Zhao Yuheng his last protection, fulfilling his last sentiment for noble consort Gao. I never thought that stabbing Fei would instead leave me covered in blood. Just when Xie Chengyou trusted me, loved me, entrusted his life to me, and wanted to live a good life with me, I would strike him down and shatter his dreams on the spot, to make him lose the power and wealth of the general's residence, to make him endure his unwillingness, and marry a penniless princess. How could he be willing, and how could the marquise's residence be content? With the divorce papers in hand, my dowry was carried out like flowing water. Mother Xie watched, heartbroken, and tried to coax me using our past relationship. Shuguang, Chengyou has you in his heart. Not having a distinction from the princess in status won't be a grievance. With me protecting you, with Chengyou loving you, she won't be able to touch a hair on you. You'll still be the same as before. Chengyou, for your sake, hasn't eaten or drunk for many days. Even today, he drank calming soup and went to sleep. That is why he didn't come out to make a scene. Zhao Yuheng stood under the veranda, only assuming the Xie family was biased towards me, and her eyes were full of hatred. The moment I left, she immediately smashed all the teacups and utensils in the marquise's residence, which was not well off to begin with, was now empty, only relying on some old items to maintain its facade of respectability. But Zhao Yuheng smashed everything throughout the house. Mother Xie dared to be angry, but not to speak, and coupled with the setbacks of recent days, she actually rolled her eyes and fainted. The moment Xie Chengyou opened his eyes, the cash cow he used to manipulate and choose was gone, replaced by Zhao Yuheng, who made him lose face completely. No matter how important love was, it wasn't as important as power and wealth in a man's eyes. One was unwilling, the other was not reconciled. Naturally, only the two of them screamed and raged hysterically. In the end, one went to the study and refused to return to the main courtyard. The other vented a belly full of grievances on the servants, causing the vast marquise's residence to be gripped by panic and lifelessness. Mother Xie's old tears streamed down. Look at what the marquise's estate has become now. Where is there even half the appearance it had when Shutang was here? Responding to her, there was only the cold sound of the wind. Zhao Yuheng was full of grievances and humiliation with nowhere to express them. With her reputation ruined and her behavior erratic, no one dared to get close to her. She could only drown her sorrows in alcohol, either getting wasted in a tavern or collapsing drunk in a restaurant. Mother Xie couldn't manage her, and Xie Chengyou refused to. The whole family just kept rotting away like this, until not long after, Zhao Yuheng kept dry heaving. An imperial physician was called to check, and it turned out she was pregnant. The lifeless marquise's estate regained its former vitality. The whole family placed their hopes in Zhao Yuheng's belly, just waiting for the child to be born, to bring everyone new life and a good beginning. Even the emperor softened, bestowing 1,000 taels of silver, resolving the marquise's estate's urgent financial needs. Zhao Yuheng felt vindicated, flaunting it in front of me. I can still turn my life around with the child in my womb. After all, I'm the lady of the marquise's estate, the emperor's most beloved daughter. I'll still have a life of luxury and fine food. As for you, a discarded woman of the marquise's estate, what if you're a general's daughter? Who would want second-hand goods? It is not that I stole yours. From beginning to end, it was you, Fei, who came from behind and snatched Xie Chengyou. She reminisced about the past, looking smug. Do you know why I put medicine on his arm back then? He kissed me while I was dozing by the bed. Guess why I had a maid climb into his bed? Because when I pounced on him, he pushed me away. I hated his false purity, so I had someone ruin his reputation. But so what? He pinned me against the door, kissing and biting me, asking if I didn't know what he was trying to protect. He clearly loved me. It was you shameless wretch, who stole him away with the marriage contract. It was you. Xie Chengyou would sometimes get lost in memories, unable to pull herself out. Then she would hysterically glare at me furiously. I watched quietly, sighing at her naivety. Even until now, she still didn't know what the Xie family wanted. But it didn't matter. It was enough that I knew what I wanted. Amidst her wildness, I curled my lips and sneered. Don't you know that Xie Chengyou is infertile? What? Zhao Yutang's face was full of shock. Outside the door, Mother Xie swayed and nearly fell to the ground. She trembled as she asked me, Yutang, what do you mean? People came and went in the restaurant, everyone pricking up their ears to listen to the gossip, so I couldn't bear to disappoint them, and replied regretfully, Xie Chengyou injured his head, and the medication he is on is tricky, which isn't good for having children. I've always known, but I've never announced it. Compared to having children, I think Xie Chengyou's health and life are more important. So, whether you pretend to deceive me, or pretend to be blind, and not consummate our marriage, I will agree to it all. As long as I can hide it from him, hide it from everyone. Even if it means bearing the stigma of being childless, I am willing to endure it. At worst, it is just putting in a bit more effort, suffering, a bit more grievance, just to make everyone satisfied. I spoke grievously and sorrowfully. Everyone without exception marveled at my devotion and integrity. Turning their heads, they then scorned the Marquis manners despicable. The life-saving kindness that had once bound me made it impossible for me to take a single step. Now, I also used the label of ungrateful to pay them back. More importantly, Xie Chengyou is infertile. So where did the child in Zhao Yuheng's belly come from? Zhao Yuheng, uncontrollably furious, pointed at me and cursed, You Fei! How dare you slander me? Do you know that slandering a royal princess is a capital offense? I'll have your head right now. But just as her long whip was drawn out, I said calmly, Truth or falsehood, just have the imperial physicians check Xie Chengyou, and everything will be clear. If I have spoken a single lie, your highness may punish me as you wish. Zhao Yuheng, confident in her backing, immediately returned to the Xie family, gathered numerous imperial physicians, and had them examine him one by one. The results were surprisingly consistent. Marquise, he is sterile. Mother Xie endured and endured, then furiously spat out a mouthful of heart's blood, and asked weakly, Then why did you not say anything before? The imperial physician shook his head and sighed. Previously, the pulse signs were not obvious. As time passed, and the symptoms became externally apparent, it was then detected. Xie Chengyou's heart turned to ashes, his eyes tightly shut. Turbid tears fell from the corners of his eyes, an unspeakable regret and pain. Turns out, Wen Shutang loved him this much. Even if he was injured by Zhao Yuheng and could no longer have children, she never said a word, preferring to bear the stigma of being childless alone, and never once thought of leaving him. Regret was like a tide, almost drowning him. Send up a memorial. Respectfully report to His Majesty, an immoral woman. My Xie family cannot tolerate her. To uphold my authority as a husband, drag her out, and force-feed her abortion medicine. Zhao Yuheng's body trembled, her face full of disbelief. You don't believe me either. I've never been with anyone else. Only ever had physical intimacy with you. This flesh and blood in my belly can only be yours. But when you were living a life of debauchery, men came and went around you. Whose child it really is, you probably know better than I. Right. The indifferent sneer on Xie Chengyou's lips made Zhao Yuheng's eyes turn red with alarm. She was already wronged by marrying a blind man, and now her reputation was ruined. Detested by her imperial father, Xie Chengyou not only didn't put himself in her shoes, but in the end, he even suspected her. Flames of hatred burned in her eyes. Zhao Yuheng raised her hand and lashed out with a whip, striking Xie Chengyou. Fabric ripped, flesh tore open, and fresh red blood instantly spilled out. Amidst the screams filling the courtyard, Zhao Yuheng cried out tearfully, "It was you who provoked me, and it was also you who started it, and then abandoned me. If you hadn't revealed your true feelings in my mother's memorial hall, speaking of the Hufu's heavy commitments, and your helpless devotion to duty, then I would have also become disheartened, and given up all hope. But it was you, of all people, who held me and said you felt sorry for me, promising me you wouldn't touch her for 3 years, to let me vent my anger. Even during the 3 years at Huguo Temple, you were meticulously attentive, sending people to give me jewelry, dresses, and trinkets, and sending me letters to encourage me to get through. I thought you loved me, but you turned around and fell in love with her. Ah, like this. How can you expect me to accept it? You want a love-hate relationship with me, enjoying my overbearing and spoiled possessiveness, and also loving her for being sensible, obedient, and giving her all for you. But why should that be? I, a dignified princess, stoop to love you. Yet you're never satisfied. Why? I chuckled once, walked to the front, and said with a light laugh, because he wants love, and also power and wealth. A consort who is merely a subject beneath her skirt, how can that be as satisfying as being the head of a noble marquise's estate? Men always prefer to be high above, revered by others. He doesn't love me, nor does he love you. He loves himself. Xie Chengyou didn't know I was also there. He immediately panicked, fumbling as he reached out to me. "Zhu Tang, you're here. Are you here to see me? I knew it. You can't let go of me." She is a lunatic who defiles our family's reputation. Don't believe her. In my heart, there is only you. Crack. Zhao Yuheng's whip struck Xie Chengyou's face. Skin and flesh ripped off. Xie Chengyou's howls shook heaven and earth, but Zhao Yuheng now hated him to the core, gave him no chance to turn things around at all. Whip after whip, whipping him into a bloody mess. I watched coldly from the sidelines, enjoying the show. Only when the imperial edict arrived did I gracefully hide myself. No one knew that, after Xie Chengyou injured his head on the polo field, I not only made him blind, but also ruined his body by force-feeding him bowls and bowls of medicine. The child was naturally his. Unfortunately, by the time Zhao Yuheng was found to be pregnant, the effects of his medicine had already fully manifested. The plot against me, all of this was what he deserved. Zhao Yuheng, with her tarnished wifely virtues, was then divorced by the marquise's residence, and sent out of the capital by an imperial edict. Naturally, she would be imprisoned for life after miscarrying. And Xie Chengyou, blind, with broken legs, without an heir, and with a ruined face, naturally had nothing left. The collateral branches of the Xie family were aggressive and pressing. They seized his noble title and took over power, leaving Xie's mother utterly defenseless. In the end, only an empty mansion was left for them, mother and son, to live out their old age. Their days were meager and miserable. Xie Chengyou, with his crooked heart still alive, even hoped I still had some affection for him. He wanted to see me again and again, as if his life depended on it. Not only did I not go, I even sent him a message. "No wonder you're so confident. You vicious dead blind man. Even if you peed, you wouldn't be able to see your own wretched reflection. Back then, when you pushed Miss to take an arrow for the princess and die, you didn't hold back at all. The only reason Miss is alive is because she is incredibly lucky. But you deceived her, humiliated her, and pushed her to her death. All of that is absolutely real. Deceiving and exploiting, toying with Miss as if she were in the palm of your hand. What old affections are you talking about? There are only old grievances. Do you want the general's manner to settle accounts with you?" Xie Chengyou was horrified, and dared not bother me again. I only heard that his marriage prospects were difficult, and his personality grew increasingly erratic. Once, when he was out, he had an argument with a fop he used to be at odds with, and was cornered on the street, and beaten until his head was bleeding profusely. He lost all face, looking as pathetic as a dog. From then on, like a rat in a gutter, he hid deep within his mansion, and dared not show his face easily again. Once, I ran into Xie's mother on the street. She had removed all her jewels and luxurious clothes, looking as plain as a head murmur from a wealthy family. The moment she saw me, her eyes lit up. "Shutang, why don't you go see Chengyou? He misses you terribly." Walking out from behind me was the current third prince, and my future husband. "I've pursued love, so now I seek power that ensures no one can ever bully me. Father is utterly loyal, even if the emperor is unkind and unjust. He would at most curse a few angry words, and never raise the banner of a rebellious subject or traitor. So I started my work within the emperor's family. Xie Chengyou never consummated our marriage. I, a pure and unblemished daughter of a general's household, married the unloved third prince. He didn't lose out, but whether he lost out or not, it doesn't matter. He relied on my father's military power to ascend to a high position, so he had to endure grievances and treat me with respect like a stranger. Old affections change easily. I wanted something more practical. So years later, when my son grew tall and could stand on his own, I sent bowl after bowl of nourishing tonics to my imperial husband, who favored the noble consort and suppressed the general's residence, to help him burn out, to help him reach bliss early. The day my son ascended the throne, the servants said that crippled Xie family member had rotted to death in the backyard. What a pity though. When I was at the height of my glory, he rotted his whole life, and never even saw it. Later, when my son was on an incognito visit, he encountered, she actually recognized his status as the son of heaven from my son's jade pendant, shouting loudly that she was the son of heaven's paternal aunt. The guards only found it amusing, knocked her out with a hilt, and dragged her to the street. No matter how naive a woman is, she must retain 3 parts of sobriety. Even a favored daughter of heaven, if she loses the protection of her imperial father, will likewise, amidst changing times and dynastic shifts, become a madwoman whom anyone can beat and humiliate. I remember back then, I rode my horse back to the capital, and my eyes met Xie Chengyou's, who had been waiting outside the gate for a long time. The young master was like jade, gentle and distinguished, especially those amorous peach blossom eyes, with their flowing gaze, full of tender affection. In that instant of my heart fluttering, how could I not have been innocent once? Pink peaches and white plums, flowing light shimmering, but a pool of spring thunder, startling awake, a tree full of crabapples.